Now, rival Libyan factions have named a revised lineup for a unity government aimed at stemming the chaos that's engulfed Libya since 2011. But once again, only 7 of the Presidential Council's 9 members signed the document. Last month, the internationally recognised parliament in Tobruk rejected the first lineup, saying 32 ministers was too many. For more on this, I'm joined now from Dubai by William Lawrence, Associate Director of North Africa Control Risks. Hello, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, this time around, there are far fewer ministers. In the new lineup, there are 18 instead of 32. Any reason to believe this lineup will get the green light from lawmakers in Tobruk?
I think it's got a reasonably good chance. They had a couple of objections. One was the number of ministers, and they've met that. There was also something about Article 8 and who would be in charge of the military if the agreement wasn't ratified. There were some other objections, but I think at this point, given the international pressures and given what's going on the ground, there's a relatively good chance that the Tobruk Parliament will approve this. The real problem, however, is that many others in Tobruk, including the head of the parliament, are against it. There are hardliners on both sides against the deal, and a lot of the underlying issues haven't been worked out yet. So what we have is a peace government without a peace deal.
Right, so even if the new lineup did get the thumbs up, it might not make much difference then, do you think, to the situation on the ground in terms of security and the fight against the Islamic State group?
Exactly, because Libya is still controlled by militias who, for the most part, weren't party to this deal. And there's a whole parallel track going on. Something called the National Accord Gatherings, which is an internal inter-Libyan process, which is supposed to rival this one and capture some of the lawmakers in both parliaments who are opposing it. But the underlying issues haven't been solved. The underlying issues being, what's the future status of General Haftar? What will the State Council do, and what is the status of all the decisions made during this interim period? And that just hasn't been worked out yet, and without that, we won't have much buy-in from Tripoli, and if this government's not going to Tripoli, where's it going to sit?
And these militias you mentioned, because of course the rival factions are backed by various militias, what exactly have they been fighting over all this time? Land, influence, resources?
All of the above. Most of the fights are about resources, control of airports, seaports, border crossings, all of the informal economic sector activities that are the lifeblood of the Libyan economy when you don't have access to hydrocarbon, oil and gas profits. And a lot of that masks as ideological or other types of divides. But in the end, we will have a deal in Libya eventually if everyone gets a seat at the table. And right now, we've had a series of announcements of governments going back to July where not enough people are agreeing. And with that sort of partial process going on, it doesn't bode well for this deal bearing much fruit in the short term.
Okay, William Lawrence, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us.